Are you a sad individual living under a Parisian opera house and dropping chandeliers on people's heads which are fun? Well, you may want to stop because that's a crime and get yourself a podcast. How do you do that? Easy. It's with Anchor. Anchor is a totally free app and website, and you can record from your phone or your computer. You don't need fancy smancy equipment. Seriously, I have recorded podcasts from my bathtub while I was bathing. Anchor is free and super easy to use. Anchor has really simple podcasting tools. You sign up and then you start podcasting. It really is that simple. Within an hour of starting my podcast, I was already distributed on Spotify. Now I'm on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and Radio Public. So look for the app or the website. The website is anchor.fm, and the app, just go to your friendly local app store and look up Anchor. That's ANCHOR. Happy podcasting! Hello. Welcome to the Kawaii Study Breakfast podcast. Today we will be discussing the Season 2 OC episode, which is 12, The Lonely Hearts Club. We open up on Sandy apparently trying to drown the house in roses for Valentine's Day, and Seth is being his weird neurotic self. He is worried about the trip to San Diego with Summer and Zach because he and Summer had, and I quote, sexually charged nose grazing. How is that even a thing? I heard that and I cringed. And then he starts talking about nose humping, which is, pretty upsetting. Basically, Seth is worried that he and Summer are going to hump noses, and Ryan's like, sure, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Just go on your trip and keep it in your trousers. Which is an odd thing for Ryan to say, I think, because I don't think he's ever mentioned trousers before. I always think it's strange when people in the States talk about trousers, because here it's pants. But, in other countries it means underwear, so, whatever. But Seth should definitely keep it in his underwear. So while this is going on, Kirsten comes in and Sandy is all happy to see her, and he hands her the roses and she dumps them in the sink garbage disposal, turns it on, and walks away. And it turns out that after she came back from seeing Rebecca in Sandy's office, they had dinner. Sandy said nothing. She said nothing. They went to bed and then woke up without saying anything about the supposedly dead woman in her husband's office. Now, I get that she's upset by this. This is obviously a very upsetting thing. But the fact that she didn't say anything about it, I don't think that Sandy is entirely the one to blame here. I mean, the fact that she didn't tell him what was wrong and she just kind of stewed in her anger is not good. Not good at all. Ryan goes to see Lindsay because when he asked to take a break, he had apparently forgotten about Valentine's Day and he wanted to celebrate it with her. Lindsay's cool with that as long as he apologizes to Caleb, and Ryan's like, no. And then he's like, fine, I will, whatever. Kirsten and Lindsay go to get Caleb at the hospital, and he's whining about being in a wheelchair, which is just obnoxious to me because it's standard procedure. You're not special, Caleb, hush. Lindsay talks about wanting to spend time with Caleb, and she says that she would like it if they got to spend time with Ryan. Actually, that's Kirsten, not Lindsay. My bad. But anyway, yes, because Kirsten told Lindsay to see about the chauffeur. Not the valet driver, but the chauffeur. Apparently, they were chauffeured to the hospital. Why? I have no idea. Rich people, right? So we have Zach, Summer, and Seth in the car, and they're talking, Seth and Summer are talking about the time that they spent together, and they mentioned that horrible bed in Tijuana, and they were talking about how they were fighting for it, and Zach's like, oh, so who got the bed? And they're like, which I'm sorry, is just really weird. Just say, hey, we ended up sharing the bed, no big deal, but that makes a big deal, and that's weird. Hey, guess who's home? It's Julie Cooper. She comes home to see Caleb and Lindsay, and she's actually pretty nice for Julie, and Caleb kind of dismisses her, and she's like, oh, okay. So she goes up to Marissa's room, and she expects Marissa to be happy to see her, and she is very disappointed. So to get her daughter to spend time with her, she threatens to take away her BlackBerry and her cell phone. And here's the thing that frustrates me about Julie Cooper. She has this very nebulized, conceptualized version of who she thinks Marissa should be, and that person doesn't exist. Like, she brought Marissa a Chanel bag because she saw a bunch of girls in Europe carrying it, and Marissa's like, yeah, okay, so. And that would be a really nice gesture for somebody who wasn't Marissa. You know what I mean? But, I mean, at this moment, she's right. I mean, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Marissa's laying in the dark. She's obviously very depressed. It's like the thing where Marissa OD'd in Tijuana. Yes, she needed psychiatric help then. But Julie was so focused on blaming other people like Ryan and Jimmy instead of not seeing what was so clearly in front of her face that she alienated Marissa, like, horribly. And a lot of parents do this, and Melinda Clark plays this so well that I am very hurt because I don't understand why you're being so mean to me while being completely oblivious that she's being absolutely horrible to her daughter. But I really like Melinda Clark's performance on the show. I think it's great work. So Sandy ends up getting Rebecca a hotel room because, you know, her staying in the office is really awkward. And Sandy makes it clear that, like, he's not sure that he should work on his case because it's too close to home. Which, I mean, you know, that makes sense. I mean, you'd think you hadn't seen someone in 20 years and it would be no big deal. But if it's upsetting his wife to that point, then yeah, he should absolutely back off if he can. I don't think that that's an unreasonable request for Kirsten if he can find another lawyer for Rebecca. Mostly because he said it himself, he's not well versed in amnesty law. So it seems a little silly that he would be gung-ho in the case when it's not in his wheelhouse. Is that the word? There's another word I think I'm thinking of that starts with B. I may be wrong, though. Haha, I know words and they are all the wrong ones. But anyway, Rebecca saw a thing that she wanted to get Cindy for Valentine's Day, and it is a copy of Gandhi, which apparently he took her out for their first date. Now, I don't know if you've seen Gandhi. It's a great movie. It's with Ben Kingsley. It's over 3 hours long. Not a great first date movie. Swear, Sandy is such a weirdo. I love Sandy Cohen, though. Sandy and Kirsten are talking about Rebecca's case, and Sandy tells Kirsten that he will not be doing it, and Kirsten's like, I don't want you to do this because of me. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna find a good lawyer. And if Sandy was actually an amnesty lawyer, I would think that Kirsten was being a horrible person, but really she's not, because like I said before, that's not Sandy's wheelhouse. Like, the only reason that he would take the case, honestly, is because he knew Rebecca. And considering the whole running off to Canada and faking her death, that's a lot of time. That's not something that I would be entirely comfortable with. But they decide to have a nice romantic fancy dinner for Valentine's Day. So Kirsten goes to make reservations. Poor Ryan. He's trying. He really is trying to make this work for Lindsay. So he goes to the Cohen house and he goes to say hi to Caleb, which seriously, the only thing you should say to Caleb is, well, nothing. You should say nothing to Caleb Nickel. He's a horrible person. He deserves to be shunned. So Ryan goes into the pool room and sees Caleb's playing pool, and he's like, oh, you play pool. And Caleb's like, no, I don't play pool. And look, I've met classy rich people, and I've met trashy rich people. Caleb is a trashy rich person. he really is. You don't treat people like that for making conversation. And honestly, like, if I heard of a dude like Caleb Nickel, I wouldn't assume that he would play pool. I'd assume golf. And to the golf fans, I'm sorry. I know that it takes a lot of skill and precision and patience, but I just hate golf. Hate it. So Caleb basically talks about a bunch of smack about how Ryan doesn't talk a lot, and Ryan's like, and he's being very polite. And then Caleb has the nerve to call Ryan a criminal, which, hi, Caleb is a criminal. Like, literally the only reason that he's not in jail is because money. And, like, legit, he should be in jail. I mean, he was embezzling, and that's terrible. Like, Ryan's crime was, like, what? He was with his brother while he was stealing cars? Like, okay, he could have left, but, I mean, he didn't really do anything criminal. And, like, honestly, the fights he's been in was like, one, he didn't instigate any of them. Two, he was either defending himself or somebody else. Anyway, Caleb is like in a greenhouse and has no place throwing rocks around it. Seriously, this makes me so mad that I just want to write like a fanfic drabble where Ryan takes a pool stick and shoves it up Caleb's nose and like impales his head because he's so awful. And it's like, he can't even do this for Lindsay, who's like, basically, hey, you know, I think it would be really cool if we all got along. Like, he's just so awful to his daughters and to everybody, and I just, no spoilers, but can't wait for the end of the season. Wait, was that a spoiler? Oh well, sorry. So he comes out looking very aggrieved, and Lindsay's like, so how is it going? And he's like, maybe next Valentine's Day. Bye! Seth, Summer, and Zach have made it to San Diego. They're waiting for their meeting, and Zach gives the news that his sister's getting married, and he's going to take Summer on a backpacking trip to Italy, and Seth, of course, is really weird and off-putting about it. Then it turns out that the guy that they were supposed to have the meeting with is on a flight from Japan that ended up late, so they will have the meeting early tomorrow morning. So they are basically gotten a hotel room, and Seth manages to make that work because it's 2 conjoined suites. I forgot the word used when you're talking about a hotel room, but basically Seth's in one room, Summer and Zach in the other, and of course Seth needs to make this weird and unpleasant and just try and get up all in Summer and Zach's business. And I actually really like Seth and Summer as a couple, but here he is just being phenomenally unpleasant, and I didn't enjoy that because I really do like the character of Seth Cohen. It's just there's some moments where he's just a terrible person, like the way he treated Anna and Summer, and it's just, come on, dude, be nicer, be a better person. Marissa is at the bait shop with Alex, and Alex is like, you don't have to hang out with me all the time. And Marissa's like, oh, please, my mother's been home for 3 hours, and I'm going bonkers, which understandable with a mother like Julie Cooper. So Alex tells her that the way to deal with her is to basically not engage and be like, sure, that's very interesting, and just leave it at that, which honestly, great advice. I mean, she's right. For people like Julie Cooper who thrive on drama, the best thing is to just kind of basically deplatform them and deflate them before they have a chance to, like, get their claws in, you know? Marissa recognizes that this is great advice and invites Alex on a date. But Alex is like, I don't do Valentine's Day first dates, which, you know what, that's understandable, because even if you don't put much emphasis on Valentine's Day as a romantic holiday, everybody else does, it seems, and that can be a lot of pressure. So completely understandable. So they agree to go out on a date next week, and it is adorable. Sandy goes to have a meeting with Max, who, if you don't remember, is Rebecca's father, and who is dying of strokes. Basically, he does not have long to live. He said that he had a bunch of strokes. So it's fatal. So, they're talking, and Sandy has gotten him a coffee, and Max is like, oh no, I stopped drinking coffee. And Sandy's like, well, when we were in school, you drank like a pot an hour, which, holy crap. I mean that literally and figuratively, because coffee is a diuretic, which means that this poor dude must have been like pooping and peeing constantly, which is a weird thing to focus on, but you know, that may be a reason for his health issues. Like, not that constantly pooping and peeing would cause a stroke, but like, that's not healthy. Wow, that's horrible. And anyway, Max later says that, well, maybe if he had tea more, he wouldn't have gotten sick, which, you know, kind of doubtful, but I'm sure his bowels would have felt a lot better. But, so Sandy offers to get him more tea, and he comes back and finds Max dead on a bench. And now it's time for a quick break. So, the meeting with Wildstorm Comics does not go well for Summer, Zach, and Seth, mostly because Seth is extremely over-caffeinated and basically takes over the whole meeting, talking metaphorically about his love story with Summer, and poor Summer's with her head in her hands going, oh, I want to sink into the floor. And it's just awful. And Zach's like, this is not what we wanted. This is not what we were going to pitch. And Summer agrees with that. And the dude is like, yeah, come back when you're ready and, you know, out of high school. And it may seem like kind of a douchey thing to say, but really, Seth was being incredibly immature. So, you know, I feel that was earned. And later on, at the hotel room, Summer actually comes back and tries to talk to Seth and is like, hey, you know, what's going on? You were being really weird. And he does not take the opportunity, which is just, I slowly lay that on Seth. I understand that it would be incredibly awkward, what with Zach being there, but the fact is, I kind of feel that if he really valued his friendship with Zach, then he'd be willing to tell him, hey, you know, this is what's been going on. Like, if he actually felt confident that it was a good relationship, then he should have been able to say, hey, you know what, I'm feeling really uncomfortable, this is really awkward for me, I should bow out. Only he doesn't say that, and instead decides to take the bus, which, I mean, Zach is cool with, which, honestly, I don't blame him, because Seth was being such a douche. And so he and Summer are going to have the hotel room for Valentine's Day, and it's very nice, and Seth leaves. Which, and you might get the idea that I don't like Seth as a character. I do like him as a character. It's just that they have this thing where he's supposed to be moderately intelligent, and a lot of the time I feel that he really doesn't show it, and it's irritating. Then we have Itchy and Scratchy. I mean, Ryan and Caleb. Ryan's gonna try and get his Valentine's date with Lindsay no matter what the cost. So he offers Caleb the chance to beat him in pool. And if Caleb does beat him in pool, then he breaks up with Lindsay. And if Ryan beats him in pool, he just kind of has to deal with Ryan. And Caleb kind of laughs because he has a massive unearned superiority complex and decides to take Ryan up on the deal. Julie and Marissa are at a fancy restaurant, and Julie tries to, you know, kind of poke at Marissa, trying to find out what's going on with her, and Marissa's finally like, you know what, got the shit, just tell me what you really want. and Julie wants Marissa to spend more time with Caleb, so he will put her in his wheel, and by extension, Julie will have money. Which really not shocking, because she married Caleb for money anyway, because it wasn't his personality. But, yeah, Marissa's like, really, really fine. And then she decides to take Alex's advice and is like, that's very interesting. And just completely goes blank, which, proud of you, Marissa. So we are now at the Cohen house, and Sandy and Kirsten are talking. Sandy talked to the coroner and found out Max died painlessly of a stroke. So, I mean, that's relatively good. I mean, if somebody has to die, at least he didn't die in horrifying agony. And they are about to go on their Valentine's dates when Sandy gets a call from Rebecca, who says that she is leaving and would like to say goodbye to Sandy. And Sandy's kind of uncomfortable with the idea, and then he sees Kirsten, so he's like, wait, hold on a second. And she's like, so is that Rebecca? And he's like, yeah, and she wanted to say goodbye, and she's like, and Kirsten's like, and she wants you to do it. And then she's like, well, I'm not going to try and stop you. Which, that seems a little passive aggressive, because it's very clear from her face that she doesn't want him to go. But then again, I mean, what's Sandy gonna do? I mean, I guess he could have her with him as he says goodbye to Rebecca, like have her wait in the car, which seems like kind of a craptastic option. But I mean, at least she'd feel like part of things, like she wouldn't feel excluded or separated, which I think is the main issue. Like, there's this huge part of Sandy's life that she's not part of, and it's more than work. Like, if he was doing this for a complete stranger, I think that she'd be a lot more understanding, but this is like, you know, an unknown factor, somebody who cared about very, very intensely. So I kind of understand her feelings, but I think she's being kind of crappy. I mean, because really the only reason that Rebecca came back was to spend time with her father before he died. And now that he's dead, it's like she doesn't feel that it's a winnable thing, which, I mean, understandable. But, you know, I don't know. It's a complicated situation. There's a lot of nuance here, and I do appreciate it. So Sandy's like, I'll be right back, and leaves, and Kirsten is standing there with a look on her face. Her dress is gorgeous, though. Seth is on a Greyhound bus from San Diego to supposedly Newport, although I don't know is there a Greyhound in Newport? It seems like there should be, but I'm not sure. But anyway, but probably like regular transit wouldn't have run that late, or else like it would have gone to the next day and been like 8 hours, which would be ridiculous. So I guess taking a bus makes sense. I mean, like, you could go somewhere and then take the local transit. I don't know why that bothered me, but I thought it was a little odd. But anyway, so yeah, and while he's on the bus moping like a mopey McMoperson, he tries to call Summer, who ignores his call because she's trying to hang out with Luke, and she tells him, hey, the thing with Seth is not really her problem, it's his issue, which she's absolutely right about. I mean, his feelings are his, and especially since he wouldn't tell her what was going on, then, you know, doubly so. And Zach's like, I mean, I know that he has a thing for you, but I'm not sure what to do about it. And, you know, I mean, that's valid. Ryan wins the pool game against Caleb, and Caleb is in a snit about it because that's not the way he does things, and maybe that's the way Ryan does things in Chino. And it's like, dude, just hush. like, you're a terrible father. Your children don't really like you. Just don't try and give people advice like that. You know what I mean? And so Ryan's like, okay, whatever. And then Lindsay's like, oh, is everything okay? And Ryan's like, yeah. And Caleb gives him money as like, and now you can go on a date. And Ryan's like, you know what? Why don't you guys stay here? I'll do something else. And Lindsay's like, it's Valentine's Day. And he's like, you know what? That's fine. Which right away proves that Ryan is a better person than Caleb could ever be. So, Sandy, what are you doing? Well, first of all, he misses the Valentine's dinner with Kirsten, who calls the restaurant and cancels the reservation. But he's with Rebecca, and they smooch. Which, that's not really a problem. Like, a goodbye kiss isn't, like, this is most likely going to be the last time we ever see each other, but, I mean, come on. No spoilers, but, you know. And the thing is, before the kiss, Sandy's like, oh, well, I'm late to my dinner with Kirsten, and Rebecca's like, well, stay here, and it's like, no, that's terrible. That's a terrible idea. If Kirsten was there, fine, invite them both over. But just Sandy, that's tacky, Rebecca. Really, shame on you. Like, I know that she didn't burn down the lab and kill that dude, but still, that's shameful. So shameful. So Sandy then tells her that he'll miss her like he did the first time, but he really wishes that she would stay and fight. Which is just such an inspiring thing. I mean, think about how our lives would be better if we all had a Sandy Cohen standing with us. Marissa comes to the bait shop and sees Alex, and she's very happy to see her after suffering through the dinner with Julie. And Alex suggests that they go and look at the tides, and Marissa's like, ooh, I thought you didn't agree with first dates on Valentine's Day. And Alex is like, screw it. So, yay, happiness. Seth is in a diner moping like the mo person he is. And Ryan comes along, and Seth apologizes for pulling him away from Lindsay, and Ryan's okay with it. So they walk down to the pier and look at everybody making out and sigh that their love lives are probably not going to be very happy. Sandy comes home late and sees Kirsten, and Kirsten looks very sad and shuts the door in his face. The door on the inside of the house. He wasn't shut out from his own house. That would be horrible. But I kind of understand why she did that, and I kind of don't, because she did tell him that she wasn't going to stop him, and if she really didn't want him to, she could have said something, but she didn't. But, oh well, people. And then we get to the best part. Marissa and Alex are sitting on the beach, watching the tide, and then they kiss. Yes, that's very anticlimactic, but look, I've been waiting for this for a while, because I haven't seen these episodes in forever. I've only seen part of season 2, like, one time each. I've seen the first season 5 times. Yeah, so, I missed this. It made me happy to see. But anyway, that was the Lonely Hearts Club. Hope you enjoyed listening to this as much as I enjoyed making it. Bye!